Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. It's another round of Premier League fixtures that is upon us, and this week it is special not only because it's a massive game of Premier League fixtures that we're going to have to indulge this week, but also it's a midweek round of Premier League fixtures that we have got to sink our teeth into. Massive games that are going to affect the entirety of the Premier League table. One particular fixture this week could obviously be the deciding factor in which way the title race goes. Of course, we're going to be talking a little bit about that in this video. But of course, there are other games as well that will affect not only the title race, but the top four race, as well as the battle to survive in the relegation battle as well. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section as well. Give us your thoughts, your comments, but of course, most of all, your predictions on all of the games that are coming up this week. That will all make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure. But without further ado, let's get on to the analysis and the predictions. First up this week, we're at Molineux. It is Wolves taking on Crystal Palace. Massive game for both teams. You've got Wolves who, like I say, are a bit hit and miss, a bit inconsistent here and there against the Palace side, who dropped points for the first time under Roy Hodgson with a 0-0 draw against Everton this past weekend. However, Palace have been very good since obviously Hodgson's return. Interesting game, a game that definitely could go either which way. Wolves at home could be tough opposition at times, but I am going to give the edge to Palace. I think they might have just a bit more in the attacking third that Wolves might not be able to handle. A draw or even a Wolves win isn't out the realms of possibility to stun Palace, but I think with the way that Palace have been playing, the attacking intent that's been shown by Roy Hodgson since his return might just help Palace over the edge here and help them get the 3 points. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win in favour of Roy Hodgson's side. Next off to Villa Park, where high-flying Villa, unbeaten in several games, are going up against Fulham at home. Interesting game again. You've got a Villa side who, like I say, have been on a bit of a roll in recent weeks, and Villa somehow find themselves chasing European football. You've got a Fulham side that, again, haven't exactly been fully at the races these past few weeks, but again, have been dangerous at times this season. Villa at Villa Park at home, I guess you'd say, should have the advantage and should go into this one as the favourites, not just because obviously the form they're in, but obviously because they have a striker who is red hot in the form as well in Ollie Watkins, which could be again another interesting factor to consider when casting your own opinion and prediction on this game. Look, Fulham getting a point from this game isn't out the realms of possibility, but I think with the home crowd, I am going to go with Villa to win this game, and I'm going to say 2-1 to Unai Emery's side. Rounding off the Tuesday night games, we've got Leeds taking on Leicester at Ellen Road. Obviously a big relegation clash this one. With Leeds obviously just a point outside the drop zone. Obviously they've conceded 13 goals in the last 3 games, so the kind of control and kind of bit more discipline that Javi Gracia seemed to have put on this Leeds side since obviously taking over as their manager has seemingly slipped away a fair bit in recent weeks. But they come up against a Leicester side who are obviously under the new management themselves of one Dean Smith. And obviously they picked up their first victory with Dean Smith this past weekend in a 2-1 victory over Wolves this past weekend to help them move out of the relegation zone, albeit via goal difference. Look, massive clash, massive 6-pointer clash. Leeds could end up in the bottom 3 this week if obviously results do go against them, and obviously Leicester do win here. This one could be anything. This one genuinely could be anything. If I had to pick a winner, I'm leaning more towards Leicester, and I think that's what I am going to go for in the end. I think I am going to go with Leicester, but it wouldn't be out the realms of possibility for Leeds to pick up a point in this one. I know that they've conceded a fair few goals in recent weeks and everything, but if they are to kind of look at the bigger picture, this is a kind of massive game. This is a much bigger game than, say, conceding 5 and 6 to the likes of Palace and Liverpool This one is a massive game for them. Big relegation 6-pointer. Like I say, point could be a possibility, but I'm going to go more for the Leicester win, and I'm going to say it's going to end 2-1 to the Foxes. Next up, we're going to move on to the Wednesday games, and first up, we have got Nottingham Forest taking on Brighton at the City Ground in Nottingham. We've got a Forest side who are in the relegation zone, relegation battle, in desperate need of points on an exceptionally bad run of form right now. They put up a bit of a fight against Liverpool away from home, but it was all for nothing in the end as Jurgen Klopp's side ran out 3-2 winners over Forest this past weekend. And then you've got a Brighton side who will be hurting from obviously a penalty shootout defeat at the hands of Manchester United this past weekend in the FA Cup semi-final. They miss out on an FA Cup final, but of course they'll refocus their attention back on the Premier League, and of course with a few games in hand over the teams that are in and around them and above them, they will definitely fancy their chances of securing some sort of European football come the end of the campaign. Look, both teams in need of points for different reasons. Forest in desperate need of something to give them hope to cling on to for the rest of the campaign after what has been a dismal run of form. I want to say Forest will get something from this game, but I think Brighton are playing too well right now and have obviously the capability of playing some great football that will be too hot for Forest to handle. So that is why I am going to say that this game will end. The question is, do I see Forest scoring? Do I see Forest scoring? I think they're at home, so I am going to say that they're going to score. I'm going to go 3-1 to Brighton in this game. Next up, we're off to Stamford Bridge for a London derby between Chelsea and Brentford. Chelsea in desperate need of anything and anything just to go their way, basically. Anything to give them some hope and optimism of salvaging something from the end of the campaign, giving them a bit of hope. And it will be interesting to see what the atmosphere is kind of like, especially with the news, obviously, of Mauricio Pochettino edging ever closer, at the time of recording at least, to possibly becoming the new manager at Chelsea Football Club. So that could be very interesting to know and to kind of see how that goes. They're coming up against a Brentford side who haven't had the best of times in recent weeks. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. Their form has kind of dipped a little bit and been pretty inconsistent. But I think they'll fancy their chances of coming up against a Chelsea side that are still obviously in a bit of disarray and a bit of chaos right now. As far as what the Blues are normally concerned. Look, again, it's a game that could go any which way. Chelsea have the players and the capabilities of definitely taking something from this game, whereas we know that Brentford, in these types of situations, and especially if the scenario and the game plan is executed to perfection, can definitely be too hot to handle for most teams, and especially with this Chelsea side being as awkward and as soft as what they are right now. I would suspect Brentford may fancy their chances of winning this game. And that's what I'm going to go for. That's definitely what I'm going to go for. Like, I was debating whether to go for a draw or not. I was thinking something around 2-2. But I think Brentford will actually have the edge in this game to get them over the line. And that's why I'm going to go for 2-1 victory in favour of Thomas Frank's side. Next up, we're sticking around in London for the London Stadium, which awaits Liverpool's journey to the capital as they are going to be facing West Ham away from home, of course. You've got a West Ham side that are looking to ensure their safety even further by putting more points between them and the drop zone. You've got a Liverpool side that are still chasing some form of European football and have picked up a couple of wins in the past couple of games. Look, massive banana skin for Liverpool this one. You've got a West Ham side that obviously picked up a very fine win against Bournemouth this past weekend. They scored 4 goals against the Cherries in a 4-0 victory there. West Ham started to pick up a little bit of form towards the back end of the season. Europa Conference League, I think, is helping them with that, keeping their kind of engine ticking over, so to speak. But they are finding a little bit of form here and there, and obviously with something to play for still, there is a bit of incentive there. as far as what the West Ham players are concerned. For Liverpool, look, they're getting their players back, some of their key players in key areas. Jota's seemingly finding a bit of form after having obviously a few games to get back from injury. Luis Diaz is getting more minutes in the tank. Obviously Salah's getting a few goals here and there. It's a banana skin. It is definitely a banana skin for Liverpool, and it's something that I do fear, especially with it being away from home again. It's something that I do fear, and against Forest, they did get a little fortunate. They did deserve to win, but again, the goals that they conceded were very, very soft, and I feel like if Liverpool are to get something from this game, they're going to need to definitely tighten up. We saw the kind of devastating attack that West Ham can pose, and I think Mikel Antonio in particular will definitely fancy his chances against a Liverpool defence that is looking a little soft right now. The kind of change that they have made to Trent Alexander-Arnold's positioning and everything obviously gives West Ham some food for thought in terms of Liverpool's creativity. But it will be interesting to see how this one goes. Look, I'm going to go with a high-scoring game in this one. I'm going to go with another 3-2 victory in favour of Liverpool. I'm not entirely confident because it's Liverpool at the end of the day, and with the season that has been, they're a bit awkward. But I think Liverpool will have enough about them to get the 3 points. I think they'll have enough in attack and enough in depth to kind of get the 3 points. And that is why I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory in favour of Jurgen Klopp's side. Next up, I was going to talk about Arsenal travelling away to face Manchester City. A massive Premier League title encounter, it seems, in this one. But I think I'm going to make my own video and my own separate video on this one. So do still get involved in the comment section if you want to. But I'm going to be making a separate video on this one, looking at this game in a bit more detail. So I won't be giving my prediction in this video, but look out for a video coming up later on in regards to this game. So moving on now, we come to Thursday's games. We're at Goodison Park for Everton taking on Newcastle. Massive game for both sides. You've got Everton looking to try and get away from the relegation zone. They dropped into it this past weekend with other results not going in their favour. You've got a Newcastle side that are looking to properly solidify themselves as being in that top four, and of course picked up an emphatic 6-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspur this past weekend to definitely push them even further in that direction of confirming and solidifying Champions League football for next season. Look, for me, Everton at home can always be a tough place to go. Everton at home, when they've got something to play for, can always be a tough nut to crack. I 100% get that. But I feel with the devastating form that Newcastle showed on Sunday, with the kind of form they're in, with the incentive, the bit between their teeth, the kind of, like I say, incentive of Champions League football being potentially on the horizon, they are very, very close to securing that top four spot. For me, there's only one winner, and that is the Magpies. That is Eddie Howe's side, and that is why I can only see one winner. A Sean Dyche masterclass isn't out of the realms of possibility, of course, but I am only seeing one winner in this one. I am going to go with Newcastle, and I am going to say that the Magpies come out of this one as 2-0 winners. For our penultimate game on this list, we have got a massive relegation clash between Southampton and Bournemouth at St Mary's. Like I say, massive relegation clash this one. Nothing really much more to say about it other than, of course, Southampton going into this game. If they show the kind of no fear that they showed on Friday night, no one was expecting them to get anything against Arsenal, but yet they came away with a point. They were 3-1 up in that game. It might have been a bit of a kick in the teeth for them to obviously have lost the game, or drew the game, should I say, so late on from having that kind of 2-goal cushion. But at the same time, they managed to get a point. It could prove valuable at the end of the season. But if they go into this kind of game, and obviously the games that are coming up with that kind of fight, then maybe, just maybe, they might be able to ensure Premier League survival. It's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time, but they have the capability of doing it if they show what they showed on Friday night. They're going against the Bournemouth side, though, that in recent weeks have been hit and miss, a bit inconsistent, but have shown a bit more consistency than the teams that are kind of below them, which is why they are as high as what they are. But they're still not entirely safe. It's still not entirely smooth sailing as far as what Bournemouth are concerned, and can always be dragged into it with how tight it is down there at the bottom of the table. Look, this game has the possibility of anything. Any kind of result is definitely possible in this fixture because of the nature of both sides. Bournemouth win, you probably would give them the edge as being the favourites, considering the form that they've been kind of showing in recent weeks. I'm going to lean more towards a draw, though. I'm going to say both teams are forced to share a point, which doesn't really help either side. Helps Bournemouth, I guess, more so than Southampton. But it could be very interesting to watch this game unfold before our eyes on Thursday night. I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to call it down the middle, and I'm going to say that this game will end 2-2 come the final whistle. And last but certainly not least, we are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Thursday night for Tottenham's game against Manchester United. Big game for both of these sides. You've got a Tottenham side that are going to be taken charge of by Ryan Mason this time around, following the dismissal of one Christian Stellini on Monday night, following obviously their last result, which was that embarrassing and humiliating 6-1 loss at the hands of Newcastle on Sunday. And of course you've got a man coming up against a Manchester United side that have been very good this season, overachieved a lot this campaign, and of course are now looking forward to an FA Cup final against Manchester City after getting there following at the expense of Brighton this past Sunday. Big game. Massive game. You've got an out-of-form Tottenham in chaos, in disarray, against the Manchester United side that are coming together under Erik Ten Hag. They're not entirely convincing at times, but they are managing to get the job done when it matters most. And obviously with top four still sort of on the line for Manchester United, they should go on and see it out from here. But of course it's not a foregone conclusion as of right now. It's still not entirely secure. It's still not set in concrete for next season that they will secure top four and Champions League football for the next campaign. But they are definitely on their way of doing it, and I think that this will be a victory for Manchester United that will definitely help push them in that direction, and obviously help them to further cement their place and solidify their place in that top four spot. Harry Kane, I think, will continue his scoring run this season, but I think I've got to give it to United because of the way that Tottenham are playing right now, the way they're defending. It's not good at all. It's not looking good at all for Spurs, and that is why I've got to go with a United win. And I'm going to say that Erik Ten Hag's side come out of this one as 3-1 winners. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, predictions of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the games that are coming up in this week's round of midweek Premier League fixtures? What are your own thoughts, your comments, your opinions? But most of all, of course, what are your predictions on all the games that are coming up Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday night in what is going to be another exciting and intriguing round of Premier League fixtures? Like I say, I'll put a separate video out for the Manchester City versus Arsenal game, in which I'll talk about it in a bit more detail, so do look out for that one as well, because that one will be coming up either Tuesday night or sometime Wednesday morning. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to subscribe to the channel just in general to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talk Premier League predictions video, shall I say. And I'll see you and speak to you all again soon in another video.